Man, alright, let's just get on with the testimonies. Blood on both hands of the assailant. I don't know why you guys are pressing this on. I'm thinking that they might have seen the victim's hands instead of the defendant. No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir. But nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. Why? Your reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. However, Hold it! Don't try to downplay this! Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well as you know. But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could have possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? Well, that's not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea, or 10, when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. You bet it on horse racing? There's a fixture this weekend, that's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10? I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. That's still illegal. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I've seen the knife, I've seen both the hands. Wait a minute. This doesn't have blood on it at all either. Damn, Okay, so if my theory about the victim trying to pull it and had his hands bloodied, it makes no sense because the hilt is not bloodied either. Oh shit. What did you just say? Hang on, what did you say? Can I look at the I can't look. Oh wait, history. You definitely saw that blood on both hands. Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're gonna say. Only one of Mr. McGilda's gloves have any sign of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilda sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark color stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused in the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilda's gloved hands. What? There wasn't blood on his hands? This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it. They heard a scream, so wait, what exactly did you do? You didn't see anything. Oh yes, sir, that's to say no, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to, though. You are literally just apologizing for everything. Wouldn't you agree, sir? I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir. I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Oh, please. You didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Didn't you say that exact word earlier? Yes, my head was very frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Ah! There can't have been anyone else inside the carriage or we all would have seen it. And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus. That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but a glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember I was shivering, it was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh? Why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? This thing has a lock? Can I even see if it has a lock? Have you seen enough? Oh. I don't see a lock. That's right. And it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below. Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? No, because we don't know which part of the seats at the top they were placed at. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the first floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of the cabin's interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? By golly, really? Obviously at this stage we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-section plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? So actually I don't remember if they specified that they were sitting here or here. But regardless, I'm assuming they're saying they're up here, but basically you wouldn't be able to see the opposite side of the interior. So hopefully this is correct. Yeah. Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other. which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite to the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you are able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could have it been? Who could have been on the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? Shoot. I wanted a picture of what they were seeing. I'm guessing if they saw the knife, then I do have an idea. I understand, my lord. Defense would like to put forward a name. I feel like I'm about to get this wrong. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus that was obscured from the view was... Shoot. Basically, I'm gonna present both of these guys. I don't know which one. I'm guessing if they said they saw bloodied hands and the knife. But they never said all of their testimonies retract the statement if they saw the moment that the killer stabbed the victim. Therefore, the people that they were able to see, at the very least, would be the killer, probably you, but they wouldn't have seen Mason.
Take that!
Oh? Yes, concealed in the blind spot of the cabin that night was none other than this unexpected passenger. Whatever so-called logic you use to arrive at that conclusion, it matters not. Because your answer has made one thing abundantly clear. Never mind! The real blind spot is inside your head. It would appear to be unusually large. Yeah, You could have just said that's not right. Mr. Naruhodo, our task here is to defend Mr. McGilded. And we are working on the assumption that he is innocent of this crime. Yes, of course. Why? That must mean then that there was someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGilded, the true culprit. That's right. Exactly what I've been... Oh! Of course! So the two people sitting inside the cabin that witnesses saw through the skylight that night. They were the victim and the real culprit. It does seem as though we've all been making a false assumption. The witnesses weren't looking at Mr. McGilded at all. Meaning he has to have been sitting somewhere else. Okay, so it should be Mr. McGilded. Alright. Skip, skip, skip.
Take that!
Yeah, I wasn't sure which one it would have been. Anyways, we got it correct. Passenger in the enclosed cabin the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. McGilded, or Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant!
Objection!
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. He's mad. Lord Von Zeeks! People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to this fact. It is the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded? It creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands on the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they can clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night. A third party we've yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on the passenger's hands. Both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary! Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense postulation is just that. Nothing more than a conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to know such things, sir. And what particular styles of hats did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter? The style of hats makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact. Unless, that is, you were proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled. He's right. If there was another person traveling in the encased cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what do you say, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will have already made a false statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGild is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it would have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGill to testify? Or not? Well, if we don't ask for his testimony and prove that there's a third party, then he's screwed anyways. Although asking for his testimony does put him in a bad light. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilda to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Ah, yes. I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out here, I say! Oh, I timed that really well, unless she did- no, she did that deliberately. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely, even though I hate his despicable guts. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well, the court will hear will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure, I have, my lord. There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you on the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal the fact from the police? What? Begad, no! 'Tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the question, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous all? Or keep me mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded? The fine fella representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with meself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true? Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You... What?! No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Von Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom just like meself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. And who was this young child of whom you speak? That I don't know. You don't know? Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Ah, is that a gun? Nope, that's smoke. Fire! There's a fire! Look, someone's trying to get away! Oh, Jesus, that's a lot of words. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. And suspended it is! And that is where we're gonna end it off here. Thank you guys for watching. This is Zora signing out. We'll see you guys back in court. Hopefully without smoke and fire.